Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Frederick, you know me as Keanomy, and today we are taking a look at Captain of Industry. This is a fairly new, we can call it a factory automation simulator. So more or less in the same genre as you would put games such as Factorio and maybe even Satisfactory would be in similar games to this. The game has more or less just released from early access to my knowledge and have the typical early access style to it, I have to say. So if we go through the settings, we have the basics. So you have a graphics preset more or less. You can change to VSync and some FPS. I'm guessing that this is more or less a standard to the engine that the game is built in. We have the basic volume sliders, and we have unfortunately no controls at all to change within the game. So no assignable key shortcuts at all. Which is really unfortunate considering that this is a factory automation game. You usually want to be able to reassign your shortcuts as much as possible. You can also change things like autosave intervals. I have not looked into any modding at the moment, but it looks like that is something that they have, or they are, or they will support. So just something to keep in mind. Of course, you have the option to not send any error reports. My personal information is already out there, so they might as well have a little bit more of it. That should be perfectly fine. So yeah, let's just get into it. I have done a test run, just make sure the game works as it should and that I understand the basics of it. Okay, so here we are on the new game screen. So at the early access that we are in now, we have 5 different maps. Unfortunately, there is no randomly generated maps or any sort of map generation at all, as far as I can see. So we have these 5 maps. We have one that's called standard. My understanding is this is more or less the easy map. We have 2 normal maps. And then we have 1 difficult, and then we have you shall not pass, which is considered challenging, so maybe the hardest mode that you can play in the game. We're gonna play on Curl-Land. I think that is going to be really interesting with this kind of shape. Maybe we can make it into a donut at some point. If we take a look at the settings, we more or less have a little bit of everything, so we can change the resources, cliff heights, ocean chunks, and so on. Most of this I don't even understand what it means, so we're not going to change any of it. And then we have the game difficulty screen. So this is where you set up how much resources you have and so on. All of the different resources are listed, and you can increase or decrease their yield as you prefer. There is also the option here to change around whether you want to have something called quick repair. I will show you a little bit later in the game probably what that is. Other than that, I don't think there is too much to mention. I will play on Captain. That means standard on more or less everything. That seems to be the normal difficulty, I would say. So let's just get into it. Let's bash out this first episode and let's see if this is something that we want to continue with. I have seen a little bit, and as I said, I played a short while of the game before I started up this, and so far I actually like it. It has some really cool ideas. Okay, so here we are in the game. So this is the message center and their version of a tutorial. I would probably say that the tutorial is at best lackluster and at worst just confusing. A lot of the tutorial is just them more or less showing you, imagine a Wikipedia page of the game, and expecting you to read through these like 3 pages of how it works and then get into the game. So if you are not very familiar with automation games or these kind of strategic simulators, I would imagine that you're gonna have a really hard time getting into this game. I've been playing a fair share of Factorio back in the day, and I still had quite a hard time getting into the game and understanding what I'm actually supposed to do here. So when we start up the game here, we have our boat. This is our kind of first mission, so to say, is to get this boat up and running again so that we can start exploring. So the map itself has different resources that we can gather, and actually gathering these resources will actually impact the map itself. So if we, for example, were to go up here to the red ones, which means that we are having copper ores, we can actually see that the copper ore is actually on the surface, and if we were to gather this, we would actually change the typology of the ground around to do that. So to my understanding, most, or if not everything on the map is changeable, so you can change around what the map looks like. So yeah, we start over here. We have our little boat that we need to repair. We have our shipyard that we also need to repair, and then we have a small collection of tree harvesters and normal pickup trucks. These will of course be upgraded as the game goes on, but for now we only have these available, and we might be able to build something additionally at a later stage. We also have our population. They're living in housing within these settlements. So at the moment we have only one settlement. I'm not sure if we eventually are able to build another settlement. That might be an option. I'm not 100% certain how that works. These guys always need food, and depending on which kind of food and how much other stuff that we are able to deliver to them, the better they will feel. So they will give us more. They will give us more of something called unity that you can see up here. We have 5 unity at the moment, and we are generating no unity at all. And that breakdown we can see right here. So if I were to run the game, we will probably see this one bump up to 1 unity a month, because that's what we should have. However, the game is starting us at 0, so it's gonna take a little bit. Right here we have an abandoned communication station. This one is only for you to start up your early game, so that you can actually get going and have some kind of available resources. Because right now I have very limited resources. We do have some fuel, some rubber, some copper plates, and so on, but it's not enough that we could easily get going, especially if we are playing the game for the first time. So yeah, we're just gonna try to set this up and get going with today and see what we can do. So if we take a look at the message center, the first thing they're saying is that we should open up the abandoned communication station, and we should build a blast furnace as well as a research lab. We also want to try to get to a trading document eventually. This is what I mean about the tutorial being very, very vague. It says about training dock here, but I played for maybe an hour and a half before, and I still were not able to get to trading dock, and we're getting a lot more messages once we start building here. So this trading dock is going to be completely forgotten. I can almost promise you that. So let's start by recycling this guy. And that means that he will actually start producing resources for us, which is exactly what we want. They said we wanted to have a research lab, so I'm gonna build a few of those, probably just one actually. Yes, we'll go with one research lab, and we wanna build... We have a few different things that we can build at the beginning here. So we have different metallurgy and smelting things that we can do. We can do waste management. We have some transports. and so on. Buildings, housing and resources, no, housing and services. And then we have a few other options down in the HUD here. Up in the top left corner you have the kind of settlement information, so how much population are living here, how many of them are able to work, how much food do we have, and so on. To the right on the screen you can see that we have the kind of general overview of the resources that we have in our settlement. And if we click on this little bowl and whisk, we can get all of the recipes that we have available to us. So say that we wanted to make vehicles parts, we could actually click on vehicle parts and it will tell us exactly how to do it. So a lot of this is things that you kind of identify as you go. So let's just get going. First off, we need a blast furnace. That's what the game told us, and you can see that when we're building stuff we have inputs and we have outputs. So I'm gonna put that just like this. We will build one of those. The trucks over here are now pulling up and picking up construction parts that they will bring over here. We can see that we need 60 construction parts and each truck are able to bring 20. So with 3 of them we should be able to get this built. When this is built we can see that we are using iron scrap and coal to produce molten iron and exhausts. We also built our research lab here. And here comes the fantastic tutorial that we have. So each time when you build something, they will kind of explain something about that building or how you can progress further usually. So first off, they just inform you that the research lab is ready. They advise you a little bit to keep an eye on your construction parts and assembly and build an assembly manual, which is really weird because how is that related to the research lab? I'm not sure. And then we get a bunch of tutorials. So this is the way that they're doing tutorials. Needless to say, I will not read these through, but at least you are aware of how it looks like now. So let's just continue. If we look at our blast furnace, we can see that we need iron scrap and we need coal to produce molten iron and exhaust gases. Exhaust gases, of course, is just something that is produced, but we don't really need it, so it's more or less a waste product. If we go into waste management, we can build one of these waste smokestacks. This allows us to get rid of all of the waste product. We just build a pipe between these two. Something like that. We will get that built. And then what? So we are going to need research. So if we start some new research, we get this nightmare of a screen. If you like progression just like me, this game is awesome. There is so much stuff to research here. It is disturbing how much research there is. It just never ends. I am so excited. This is going to be so much fun to go through this game. I am super hyped. So we have a few things that we can research. We can see that we already have the iron smelting researched. We can do basic farming, so to be able to produce food. That sounds like something that's fairly important. We can see that we have construction. If I've learned anything from these kind of games, the most important part is always to make sure that you can produce stuff. If you can automate it, that's what you want to do. So let's go for that one in the queue as well. And I think we are going to be happy with that being done. So now then, we have iron scrap, but we actually need coal. And now they have a really cool functionality. So I mentioned before that we can go through the recipes that we have right here. we can click on coal and we can get to this page. And then we can see that, okay, we can produce coal from an excavator just simply digging coal out of the ground. At the moment we don't have any excavators, so that's not really an option. But we can also, with a coal maker, produce coal and exhaust with the help of wood. And as we saw in the beginning of the game, we actually have a tree harvester. So if we go down to tree harvesting designations, we can actually designate some of this to be harvested. That way we can get some wood. And again, with wood we can produce coal. So with the help of a coal maker, we can set you up there. He will produce coal with wood, and that coal can then be delivered to here to smelt into molten iron. And we got a notification up here in the top right corner. Tree harvester has no trucks assigned. So each of these harvesters that we're using need a truck assigned to them that can deliver the wares that they are obtaining. So if we give him maybe 2 trucks, because they will not work unless there is a truck available to take the resource that they are producing. So we can see now that this truck is now going up to the harvester, getting loaded with wood, and then this guy is heading back. And he will then, in his turn, deliver this over here to our coal maker, who is then producing exhausts and different other things. So since we already have one of the pipes here, I am just going to connect these. And that should be perfectly fine. Because we still need to get rid of these exhausts. If we fill up completely on exhaust gases, we will not be able to produce any more coal. So that is crucial that we make sure that we have the basics set up. And of course, the game is going to be more and more about effectivity and being able to calculate ratios and so on. It's not something that you have to care very much about in the early game, I'm imagining, but at the late game it would surprise me if we did not have to at least keep that in mind. So now we can see that they are producing coal, and as they are producing coal, we will eventually see one of our trucks get filled up, and they will bring that coal over to the iron place. So yeah, they will bring that over to our blast furnace, who will turn the iron scrap into molten iron and exhaust gases. Again, we can see that our current smokestack is working hard on making sure that we have coal. Now we can see that they're delivering coal as well. And we are now producing the molten iron. So what are we gonna do with this molten iron? Well, to begin with, we need to start stamping metal slabs. So if we set up a few of these, maybe one there, we can then have molten channels go straight into it. And that should allow us to have... How did this happen? Stop. Yes, so if we connect with a molten channel here, that means that we will be able to deliver this without any issues at all. And we will then be able to smelt it into iron plates. And now we finished our basic farming. So yeah, now that we finished basic farming, we can go in and check this category that's named food production. We can go to farms and we can start building food for our citizens. I'm probably want to have that somewhere right here. That is going to be a fairly good place to do it, I imagine. Maybe even this way. Something like that. Actually, no. You don't want to have it too close to your housing, because you can actually only build housing around housing that you already have. Unless you want to build a new settlement. So we will put the farm over on the other side of the kind of shoreline. Okay, so we are now producing steel plates, which is the only thing that we didn't have before, so that's good. And we are now also seeing some wood coming in, so we're producing coal, and everything is kind of going in the right direction here. So we can see that we are using up some of this iron scrap that we have needed for some time now. So that's good. Let's see if we can get anything else up and running. So we're gonna need some waste collection, and waste collection needs to be connected to the city. So we will build that just next to the food market. Maybe not the best place. But yes, that is the plan. And here we can see that they collect waste, and then we need to do something with that waste. Unfortunately, if we look at our current waste management, we only have a smokestack. Smokestack only accepts exhaust or carbon dioxide. So the waste that we have from here will not be accepted by the smokestack. So for now we need to find another way to do it. And that way we will do the maybe less hygienic way of doing it, but it's the way that we need to do it and how the game works. Simple as that. So we will build one of these dumping destinations. This means that any truck that handle waste will be able to go to where we designate here to dump that waste. So if we put that up there, that means that as soon as this one is built and starting to get filled up, we will see trucks coming here, picking up waste, and then they will make their way over to the dumping site to drop off all of that waste. And there you go. That's how that works. So we're currently working on construction. This means that we will be able to start producing things. From there, I want to go to vehicles and mining as well. And we also want to look for the power and maintenance. This will give us the maintenance depot. This is really important for all of your vehicles. If you don't have that, they will start breaking down, and that's not a good time. That's not a good time. Speed this up a little bit and see if we can get this stuff going. So now we can see that our output for the iron is actually full. So we don't really have that much left until we can't produce anymore. Unfortunately, we can't use any of it either. So we're just gonna have to kind of live with it as it is now. And there we have our construction completed. That means that we should be able to now also produce the assembly units. These are what takes your basic resources and puts them together into more useful things. So we will put that probably here. And we will tell this guy that you can produce anything as long as you have the resources for it. We could also do, for example, you will produce only this guy, and then we will have, say, actually let's do that. Let's build with some some future in mind here. So we will have one that produces each one of these. So one of them will produce the construction parts, one of them will do mechanical parts, and one of them will produce electronics. Hopefully that should be quite good. And the trucks themselves automatically instantly start producing and delivering whatever the actual building is required. Eventually we will get to be able to use conveyor belts and different automation functionalities as well, but for now we need to rely on trucks. Something that's very cool when it comes to the trucks is that you can see that the surface itself is actually changing what it looks like. So as the trucks are going on the same route over and over again, you will actually see the surface of the earth changing around to kind of make dynamic roads a little bit. It's kind of cool. I like it. It's a cool thing. So we don't really have very much more to do at the moment. We have kind of built everything that we need, so we're more or less just waiting for these vehicles to come out. There is a few things that we could kind of look into. So we, for example, have the statistics. So here we can see each of the products. So how much product do we have? And of course we can also see food. So more or less a graph of how much food we have and how much we are able to produce. Actually, this is mainly for consumption. So we are consuming 5 potatoes every month, I think it is. We can also see the maintenance requirement. At the moment we don't have any maintenance. We can see the health of our citizens. So we can see the air pollution right now has gone up a little bit. And we can see our total health as well. If we go to pollution, we can see more specifically air pollution, how it changes over the last 120 months. Or over the last 120 days. So this is depending on what kind of productions we are using. We have population, we can see our worker demands. We have our unity, so how much unity are we producing? And we have our population growth. So eventually we will be able to grow our population. I did play around with this a little bit. It's actually really hard to make sure that you can support all of them. I think you need to be very attentive to what you're doing there. And then we have fuel. Fuel is a big necessity to keep an eye on. If you run out of fuel, you're in for a world of pain. In more than one way. So we're gonna need a maintenance station here shortly. Unfortunately, we can't build it until the vehicles and mining is done. If you are curious on what the actual Unity does, you can do things like recover vehicles, you can boost different buildings, so it will double their throughput. It will also ignore if they need electricity. You can also, for example, if a vehicle breaks down, you can automatically repair it with Unity and so on. There's also, for example, the research lab is actually using some Unity to stay afloat and working. So there is no kind of there is no item that the research lab needs. It just needs personnel that can work there, as well as the actual Unity to continue producing research. So here we have our farm that has also been built. So now we have potatoes being produced here. If we look into this, we can also see that these crops require water. Unfortunately, water can only be obtained if we are able to collect water. So only when it's raining, we cannot bring water directly from the ocean right now, for example. We can actually produce water. So as it rains now, you can see that the soil water level actually goes up. So we finally are able to build our vehicle depot. This will allow us to produce more and additional vehicles. So this allows us to build pickups, small excavators, tree harvesters, and so on. So we are going to at least build a couple of the excavators, and we will probably build 4 pickups that will allow us to start actually mining here as well. We also got access to this mine control tower. This will allow us to actually start excavating ground. So I will put one of those just over here. And these, you can change the area that they are controlling. Something like that. That means that anything within this area, I can now assign a vehicle to, as well as an excavator. And then we can make a mining designation. Easiest way for me that I found it is just to make a flat ground. So you have different tools to go up and down inclines and so on. I usually just go flat, and then I more or less just cover the whole mountain. That means that the excavator will try to make this area flat. It will try to actually kind of mine out everything that is above ground level. It's giving me a warning there that I had the mining area outside of the reach of this tower. So we just adjusted that a little bit and everything seems to be fine now. So now we can see that we have a excavator here. So if we go up to our mining tower, we can tell this excavator to go here, and it will start actually mining out this mountain and producing the iron that we need from it. We will also give it 2 vehicles. And we will then decide that we probably want to have a dump right here as well, for them to do this. So if we do something like you, and we tell it to dump like that. Probably want to continue out this way as well eventually. That should be quite good. So if we now go up here, we can see that our excavator is actually... You can see that it's actually digging out the ground here. So you can manipulate how the world looks like. It's really slow if you're only using one excavator. But eventually you will most likely have bigger excavators and faster excavators, and it will do a lot of a difference. So now then, what do we need to do next? Well, our power and maintenance is almost done. And I did mention before that fuel is something that is really, really important to keep an eye on. So that's something that we will go for up next here. So this is the fuel tree. So we will just add that to queue. And now we can see that these vehicles are actually standing around waiting for somewhere to deliver this, but they don't have anywhere to go at the moment because we don't have anyone that is actually utilizing it. So we can allow this one to actually use the iron ore as well. And that will allow them to come over here and deliver the iron ore to here. And it will be actually smelted together with the coal maker as it becomes available. And now we are also able to build our maintenance depot. These are very important and requires power to run. So I think we're gonna put this one probably around the normal station that we have. So if we put you maybe something like this, we can then have power, just a normal diesel generator. can build those over here maybe. And this guy will then use fuel to produce more power. Which really makes fuel a lot more important now, because we have already used almost 100 liters of fuel. So we really need to make sure that we can get fuel running here so we have enough power. You see, right now we require 25 power, but we are not producing anything. So that is maybe not great. So we still haven't done anything with this shipyard and this ship. At the moment, I'm actually at a point where I have no experience of what we're going to do with this either. I know that there is a kind of world map. So I think that you eventually are able to send out a ship to explore different places, and I'm not sure if you get resources or if you can get like people coming with you back to your settlement. I'm actually not sure how that works, but that's something that we're going to have to explore in future episodes for sure. So yeah, we can see that these are heavy at work. I will probably copy one more because we do have the vehicles parts now that are needed to produce the... Why are these in different order? That's really weird. Okay. Yes, we do have the vehicle parts now that the maintenance station here requires to be able to produce maintenance. So that should be fine. We also have another excavator here now. So we probably want to get going with some more excavation work. And to do that, I probably want to set up another mine control tower right here. And that guy will cover everything here. Maybe even a little bit bigger than that. Because if we take a look at the overlay, you will see that we have a lot of coal here. We can probably go even further in, but we will have to do that at a later date. Not right now. So that will bring us some coal as well. And as we showed before, we should not have to actually do anything with the coal. So coal we can just directly bring out of the land and it will be simply dropped off to where it needs to be. We do need a dump site here as well, probably. It's always good to have a dump site available for them. It's not always that we need it, but sometimes they are producing a lot of rock. Especially if you are digging where there isn't a lot of resources. No mining designation. Oh, okay. I never actually assigned them to mine anything. That should probably be fixed. So we will do something like that. And then we will do that. And you guys can also... There. That will allow us to start producing coal as well. It's a long way to go for the trucks, so maybe we want to have some more trucks going here. We could easily do something like 3 trucks maybe. That should be a lot better. You do not really have to run anymore. I don't think we need to produce coal from wood anymore, since we are able to now produce it with other vehicles. We can turn off the truck import, and then we can have this guy just continue building as much as possible. That should be fine. So yeah, this is the very early game when it comes to Captain of Industry. So far a very, very interesting game. I am very intrigued by how this game has turned out so far. We are producing about 9.2 potatoes. Can we see somehow how much we need to produce? Can we see fertility somehow? What kind of copper ore, tree harvesting, terrain grid? Not really. Looks like we are actually running out of water every now and then with the farm here, so we might want to do something about that to make sure that we are producing enough there. Unfortunately, I think that is one of the... Yeah, that's the concrete production. We get a rainwater collector, which means that we can actually collect more water than we would otherwise. So I think that we probably want to go for the trading dock here next, and then go for the concrete one. And that will allow us to actually get more water than needed, and that should help us a little bit with the food that we have issues with here. How are we doing with all of our vehicle parts? Actually doing just fine with those. It's a little bit slow, so maybe we can get another one. How much workers do we have? We have 15 workers at the moment. Each one of these takes 4. So it's really easy to overbuild and then realize that you have no workers to actually working in your industries. Let's have you do vehicle parts. That way you are also being productive. We can see now that they are actually dumping a lot of trash over here. That's not great. It would be good to incinerate or something like that. But unfortunately, we can't actually do that. Okay, so there we have basic diesel actually completed as well. So next up we are researching the trading dock, and now we can actually get into building more diesel or oil refinery. So to produce the fuel that we need, we can just right click on fuel here. It will take us directly to the actual recipes. There's a few different ways on how we can do this. We can see that a few of them are already locked, so we will not actually be able to use them. We can only use this one. And that means that we need to go from a basic distiller. We need to take crude oil and coal, and we will produce wastewater, exhaust, as well as diesel with it. So how do we do that? Well, basic distiller we already have, so maybe we can start with that guy. We already have our kind of factory part here, so maybe we just continue on that. And if we take a look at this guy, he needs crude oil. Crude oil is brought up from an oil pump, so we need an oil pump. And it says that we have no crude oil deposit. I'm guessing that that's one of the layers that we need, so it's the black one. If we click on the crude oil, we should be able to see that somewhere, potentially. I don't see anything, actually. Oh, it's in the water. Are you kidding me? No, we have a little bit of oil here as well. So if we put an oil farm here somewhere, we can do... Wonder if they produce more depending on how high this pillar is, or how that works. It looks like it's a set amount that they are producing, and the only thing that changes is the actual reserve that's available to them. So that's good. That's actually really good. If we now need to connect him, he will use 20 kilowatts, which we should be able to handle. I wonder how this works when he is producing. What do you actually complain about? Oil pump has no recipe set. I think I just misclicked. Yeah, so they will then bring everything down to here, which will produce... Oh wow, this is so inefficient. I should have built this closer. But yeah, we will produce diesel and we will produce... Actually, maybe I should destroy this guy. Nah, let's let the trucks work. That's fine. It will produce diesel, it will produce exhaust gases, and it will produce wastewater. Diesel we will just simply use. Exhaust gases we can just pipe over to here. And our smokestack should take care of that. And then we have the wastewater, which we need to deal with somehow as well. So we can consume that with a liquid pump. And liquid pumps we have right here. And it means that we can just literally shove it into the sea if we want. So if we go somewhere like right here, we can just toss every piece of that wastewater directly into the sea. It will produce, you can see this water pollution. It's a really bad polluter, but that is what it is. We are still early on in the game, so we're probably gonna use a lot of the water pollution things to make this work. I wonder if that is... No, these are also pipes, are they not? I think these could be used... How expensive would it be to drag a pipe from the here all the way over to this? It's 26 for each of them. So if we go here, we can do planning mode. And that should allow us to actually plan this out first. That would be 87 construction parts. Currently we have 138, so maybe we can get going with that. Why not? Why not? Let's just do it. Let's just do it. We probably don't want to have this much though. Can we delete? Oh, it's actually building all of it. Come on. I'm gonna delete that part. So this should allow us to this should allow us to push all of this wastewater directly into the sea without using any trucks. I wonder if they can actually drive underneath this, or if that's not actually possible. It probably isn't, and they are going like super far. Oh, that is so much waste. Nah, let's just wait. If we need to later, we can rebuild a little bit at that point, but for now we should be able to do it like this. We are now producing fuel, which is good. I would like some storage though, so if we tell this to have storage maybe here. I really don't have a plan for how to build this, so for now I'm kind of just doing whatever. And then we tell this guy to have fuel. You can't have fuel. Fluid storage. Right, you need to use the correct storage as well. So we tell you to have fuel. We tell you to have construction parts, and we tell you to have... What else do we need? Probably vehicle parts, I imagine. It's gonna be needed. Is there anything else that we would need? I don't think so. We can now produce rainwater. So if we go... Rainwater there, maybe copy you once more. We can have 2 of them. They should be producing 40 liters of water each time. And this guy can hold 50. So hopefully that should be quite good as well. Probably gonna have to rebuild a lot of this once we get the transport belts. Because right now we're relying a lot on the actual vehicles to be able to do this. which looks very, very busy. So let's see if we maybe can build another 5 or so. 6 would probably be good. Let's go with 6. We are running low on rubber. What else do you actually need to be able to produce? Vehicle spare parts is fine. Fuel is fine. Yeah, we should be good. We should have the rubber in any time now as well. Because we do have rubber available, so that should not be much of an issue. But yeah, we do want to probably build something here to allow them to actually get through this. So let's bring the pipes up here. It takes a while for them to. Okay, so that should allow our trucks to go underneath here if they need to at some point. We just need this built. And we can now see that we are actually utilizing a lot of the production that we're having here. So let's maybe get one more of you guys. So if we tell you to be here, and we want you to hold iron plates, that would be good. Might actually do one for wood as well. Yeah, that's a good start. Not enough workers. That means that we would actually need to do something about that eventually. What you usually would do is to build one of the beacons. So in the research center here we have a beacon. This allows us to kind of bring people to our city or to our settlement. It's kind of tricky because it's really easy to just leave it on and it will continuously just push more workers to your city, even if you don't need them and even if you don't have housing for them. And it becomes disastrous really quickly. So need to keep an eye on that, but in general that's usually how you do it. Okay, well, we have a fairly decent basic setup here. We are producing oil. We are able to deliver that oil over to our city. We are producing diesel, not very much, but at least something. And we are also able to actually produce the kind of basic stuff. So we have the different building materials, we have maintenance, we are able to produce the actual vehicles themselves, and we just now were able to unlock the beacon, wherever that one is, right here. So strong light helps other refugees to find your Iceland and join you. This can help you to get more workers and some extra starting loot. So that will be very helpful in the next episode when we set this up. I do hope that you have enjoyed this episode. This game is really interesting. I kind of like it so far. We're gonna give it a few episodes and see what we think, and then we will make a decision on how far we want to go. I hope I will see you in the next episode, and I wish you a fantastic day. And until next time, bye bye everyone.